Welcome, ODTUGgers, to Kscope Uncovered. I am your Kscope20 chair, Kevin McGinley. And today, this is our February recording of the Kscope Uncovered podcast, where we go behind the scenes and try to give you some insight into how Kscope is planned and how a committee of people work on it pretty much almost the entire year leading up to the conference to produce what I think is one of the greatest conferences out there. And I'm excited today to kind of give you updates on where we're at in the planning process, because at this time of the year, we're really deep into a lot of things that are going on in the planning of the conference. So before I get to my guests, let me kind of break down for you where we're at in the process. So first of all, from a content perspective, we just had our big call. We call it the sort of big scheduling call, where our track leads have given their recommendations for the sessions that they want selected to our content chairs. Our content chairs spent a lot of time looking over those to make sure they sort of fit the model of what they're looking for their tracks for the conference. And then we put it into a schedule. We have a template of a schedule with all the different rooms and all the timings of all the session slots. And from there, we come together as an entire team and look across that entire schedule, conference wide, across all the different tracks and communities, and try to make sure that we have every I dotted and every T crossed with regards to making sure people aren't double booked, and making sure that we don't have one person speaking too many times or a company speaking too many times, making sure that we don't have major conflicts with regards to content, making sure that we take into account people who are both presenters and co-presenters and how that all flushes out, taking a look at our ACE-D representation or our ACE program representation as a whole, and all of our Oracle sessions. So it really it's a 4-hour call that is a bit of a marathon in terms of having to check everything within that content session. But the great news is we are done. And as of the time of this podcast recording here in late February, we expect that speaker acceptances will go out next week, the first week of March. So that is super exciting and an awesome time of year for the Kscope planning to have all of that hard work done and settled. So we're super excited to be able to tell all the great speakers that we have lined up that their sessions have been accepted for Kscope. Additionally, we have also selected our keynote presenter for our general session on Monday, and that announcement actually went out through regular sort of ODTUG marketing channels, I think earlier this week, if I'm not mistaken, and we're really looking forward to having Muriel Koda come on and talk about her experience as a someone who works in the STEAM community. She is both a professional dancer as well as a coder, and founded a company that produces these really cool light jackets that can be programmed in all kinds of unique and interesting ways. And she's been on, her and her team have been on America's Got Talent, which is super cool. And she's just got an awesome personal story that I'm really looking forward to hearing. So that is another major milestone in our conference planning that we've achieved since we last recorded this podcast. So with that, that is your sort of update on the behind the scenes. And by the way, when we select those keynote speakers, we get this huge list of possible speakers, and we go through and watch a lot of different videos, read up on these speakers. Everybody in the conference committee gets to participate. Look at all the different possible speakers. We try to boil it down to a manageable list to kind of debate and choose from. And then from there, it's, we had a call where we all kind of gave our thoughts on the different presenters and who we thought our top presenter was, and took a vote and narrowed it down to Muriel. So it's a cool process, and it's a lot of fun to look at all the different possible speakers and try to think about what angle we want to take with this year's conference. But that's done and announced, and really looking forward to the feedback on Muriel when she gets to present on Monday morning at Kscope. But with that, let me go ahead and introduce our guests. So the theme of this episode is to bring on a couple first timers. So last year would have been their first Kscope. And I also have from our conference committee our marketing and vendor chair, who I'll introduce in a second. And we want to just kind of talk about what the sort of Kscope first time experience is like, and how Kscope is really neat and unique from a conference perspective. And I remember the first time that I went, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So it's kind of a cool thing to do, and I really wanted to put this out there because we all have our sort of first time experience, and it's a neat thing to talk about, and have a lot of visibility into what other people's experiences are like. So with that, let me introduce our guests. As I mentioned before, she is our vendor and marketing chair on our conference committee. And she is also one of the leads at EPMI, Minnie Parikh. Hi, Minnie. How you doing?
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everyone. This is Minnie Parikh. I lead delivery for EPMI, which is an Oracle consulting firm and focused in EPM, or Enterprise Performance Management, or as Hyperion, as a lot of you may know it. And I'm based out of Houston, Texas. And this year, I'm the vendor and marketing chair. And in the past, I've led the Women in Technology Luncheon at Kscope. So excited to be talking with you guys today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for hopping on, and I appreciate everyone on the conference committee taking their turn as being subjected to my capture here on this podcast to grill you on all the fun things that you're doing on the conference committee. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate that. In addition, we have our first sort of last year would have been their first Kscope, and we recruited them to come on this podcast to talk about it, and I'm thankful that they said yes to this experience. So the first one, Carrie Hasselbrook. How are you doing, Carrie?
Good, thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Hasselbrook, and I work with Minnie at EPMI, which is based in Houston. However, I live in Minnesota. So I just recently joined the EPMI team last month. Prior to that, I was working in industry. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. I don't have a lot of experience yet in the consulting world, but really looking forward to the additional experiences in the coming months and years.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's kind of why we wanted to have you on, is you're sort of early in your journey in this space. But how did I miss, when we were doing introductions before we started recording, that you live in Minnesota? Because I live in Minnesota as well. So real quick, let's geek out on Minnesota. What part of Minnesota do you live in?
Minnetonka.
Nice. I am down in Lakeville, so we are not super close to each other, but in the same Twin Cities metro for sure.
And once again, the world is small.
Yes, it is. That's awesome. I don't know how we missed that in the opening. Oh well. This also just, pretty much every podcast episode that I've recorded so far, there's always been this impromptu moment of like, holy cow, how did we not think about this ahead of time? Which just goes to show how off the cuff this podcast recording is. So glad to have you on. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And awesome that you live in Minnesota. We'll have to grab coffee sometime or something.
Sounds good.
And then also from much further away than Minnesota or Houston, Texas, we have Gillian Breems. How you doing, Gillian? And I'm not even going to try to properly pronounce your name. So if you want to educate us on what is the correct way to say your name, I would love for you to do that.
Well, here in Holland, hi everybody, good morning. Well, here it's good afternoon. But my name is Gillian, but I don't expect you to pronounce that okay. Gillian Breems. I'm 30 years old. I am an Oracle database developer for 13 years already. And since a couple of years, 5 years, I guess, also an Apex developer. So I'm not really on the same track as you guys. I live in the Netherlands, in Holland, in Gouda, which is near Rotterdam. Probably you know that.
Yeah.
And I'm a consultant as well at Conspect ICT. and yeah, we're doing Oracle IT consultancy mainly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So did I hear you right in that you said you're 30 years old, but you've been working in Oracle for 13 years? So you literally
Oh,
started
no.
working in
Well,
Oracle out of high school?
well, I'm glad you heard 30, but I said 38.
Oh,
I
38.
think it was-
Yes. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense then. But everybody always feels 30 at heart, right?
yeah,
Once you pass
yeah.
30, no one wants to say the real number beyond 30. So, we're all 30 in a way. So awesome. Okay. Well, so the reason that we wanted to have you two on was because last year Kscope19 in Seattle was your first Kscope. So what I'd like to kind of open up with is just giving each of you an opportunity to, sort of talk about what made you decide to go to Kscope19, what your experience and impressions were like. Maybe sort of talk about it in the context of your track and area that you focused on, and what things that you did at Kscope that really resonated with you, and maybe something that some aspect of Kscope that really stuck out to you. So Gillian, why don't we start with you? You made the decision to come from the Netherlands and Holland over to Seattle, which is not a short trip. So what brought you to Kscope? Why did you decide to come, and what did you think?
Well, that's a hard question actually. We have here in Holland, we have Apex World, which is kind of like the same conference, but focused on Apex only. And I actually wanted to attend something which is more international focused, bigger than what they have here in Holland. And then I met Roel Hartman, you well
Yes,
know,
who's on our
I guess.
board? Yep.
And he was so enthusiastic about Kscope that yeah, he just convinced me to go. That's actually the way it went. Yeah.
And that's not uncommon actually, because there are a lot of people who are in the ODTUG community who attend Kscope year after year who are very passionate about it. I mean, a lot of us who go year in and year out, there's a reason why we do. There's a lot of passion behind that. So it's not surprising to me that someone was very encouraging in getting you to go for the first time. And I'll point out too that it is not as widely known that Kscope is very much an international conference. We actually get a very strong international attendance every year, and while we've never picked a city internationally to host Kscope, which who knows, maybe sometime in the future we will. We do get a lot of people that come in from outside of North America to attend Kscope, and that's pretty cool. So I'm curious. You have a database background, and you also focus on Apex. So did the appeal of going to a conference that had sort of multiple different areas and topics to talk about, was that a draw to you as well?
Yeah, of course. We don't have this database uh, uh, aspect conferences here that much anymore. So we have these meetups, but not like a conference which is like Kscope, where we have this database track and the Apex track. So it was really nice to have some database track as well. But on the other hand, that's very hard to choose from what to attend.
Yeah, yes, that is always a struggle for all of our attendees. I get that feedback every year. Hey, there's like 3 sessions I want to go to at the same time, and that's a sign of a good conference with
Yeah.
good content. But obviously, the drawback is we can't clone ourselves and be everywhere at one time. So what were some things that stood out to you? How was Kscope as different than other conferences you've been to? What stood out to you in your first time experience?
Um, I don't know. It was just different. I think the enthusiasm of the community. Everybody was willing to just chat with each other and having fun and teach each other, help each other out. It was just one community. That at least what I was, how I felt about it.
Okay. Was there any aspect of Kscope outside of the content? We try to offer a lot of ways to sort of get together with people and network and all that stuff. Was there anything outside of the average sort of session that you attended that stood out to you as a cool aspect of Kscope?
Well, be specific then, because I have attended a lot. I think there is this game night.
Geek Game Night?
Yeah.
You attended Geek Game Night? Yes.
Yeah.
Geek Game Night is something that our prior conference chair, Opal Alapat, started and has been doing, and I will continue that tradition of having a Geek Game Night. We've changed it every year. It's a different experience every year. So you experience the Minute to Win It Geek Game Night. So you had fun at that. Were you one of the ones up participating, or were you just in the audience watching?
I was one participating, but I went out in the first round. So.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. It's still fun, and it was pretty comical. I must say, watching everybody try to do those little challenges, it was pretty fun. Which one did you do?
Oh no, I meant there was this fast round where you had to answer questions, and if you
all the questions, yes.
Yeah, so it didn't came into the game at all.
Got it. Okay. Yes. Yes, we had to sort of have an early round where we sort of reduced our level of participants down to a manageable level, just based on the games that Opal had planned. So cool. So I have to ask the obvious question: are you planning to go back to Kscope20?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Awesome. Did you speak at Kscope19, or did you put in to speak at Kscope20?
No, not yet. No,
Just
I'm
going to come
planning
as an
maybe,
attendee.
but yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong with that. Although I would encourage you at some point in time when you feel up for it to put yourself in there to speak at Kscope. It's a great way to be able to come to Kscope, because we do offer a comp pass to all of our selected speakers. That was another aspect of what makes it hard to kind of get down to that final list, is we have to manage that budget of comps that we have. But yeah, awesome. Okay, well let's shift gears a little bit over to Carrie. So you went to Kscope 19. Can you talk about a little bit, why you went and sort of what your experience was like?
Sure. So last year was my first Kscope experience. However, back in the day, I attended several Hyperion Solutions conferences.
Oh, awesome.
So earlier in my career, I started out in accounting, but moved into a finance systems role when the company I was with at the time was implementing Hyperion Planning and Essbase. And actually, interesting that you brought up Opal's name, because I've known Opal since 2002 or 2003 in that first role that I had in a systems capacity. So again, small world.
Yes. And that's actually, one of the great things about ODTUG as well, in that, you kind of build this network of people that you get to know, and those relationships and personal experiences stay with you over the years. And it's funny how that sort of all comes back around, and you rerun back into people. And Kscope is often sort of likened to a large family reunion, and where you get to see a lot of those people that you don't necessarily always get to see year round. And so yeah, it's not surprising that you have that relationship with someone.
Right.
So continue.
Right.
Sorry.
So from my days as being an administrator, I moved through the ranks and became a manager of the team who administered the applications. So once I got to that management level, when we were choosing who was going to go to the conferences, it was always my team that was going versus me. So I was out of the conference process for, I'd say, a good 12 years. So as you know, during that time, it morphed from being a Hyperion conference to Oracle and the user group running it and the name changing and all of that kind of stuff. So last year was my first year at an actual Kscope. And why I attended kind of morphed. I had gotten back into a role where I was administering cloud applications for the first time. And the company I was with was C.H. Robinson, and they had a very large cloud presence.
Yeah.
So the entire team was able to go to the conference to get as much information on what was coming for the cloud and all of the different applications that we had.
Awesome.
And as of the time of the conference last year, we were live with the consolidation tool, a management reporting solution in the planning tool, and the data management cloud. So one of our implementation partners had submitted an abstract and we were selected to present. So I co-presented with our implementation partner on an FCCS topic.
Cool. Super
So
cool.
I was all sorts of going out of my comfort zone last year, and I really enjoyed it. The community was so welcoming and so, like you said, it was like going home to family. It was, I was just impressed with how many people still attend those conferences from back in the Hyperion Solutions days.
So give us a little bit of a flavor. What were those days like in the Hyperion Solution days? Because not many people know, and let me just give a quick history lesson here. So ODTUG for a long time was very much focused on the sort of what we call or what we refer to as the traditional side, which was largely all the development tools, around database, and then Apex came along. Then as Oracle acquired Hyperion, the Hyperion Solutions conference that Carrie's referring to, really needed a new place to go, because it wasn't going to be continued in its same format anymore. And that's when some key members of that community, really sort of evaluated their options and chose ODTUG and Kscope as their sort of new home, which ODTUG welcomed in open arms. So now we have sort of two aspects of the ODTUG community, or two sides of the conference, if you will, what we refer to as the sort of traditional side, which includes where Gillian is in Apex and database, and then we have the sort of EPM and analytics communities, which sort of make up the newcomers, if you will. So back to my question, what were those Hyperion Solution conference days like? How did you find what you experienced at Kscope similar, and how was it a little different?
I would say it's very similar, because I don't have the database background, so I just didn't really interact with that
Yep.
part of the Kscope conference. So the vendors that I interacted with, the sessions I attended, it seemed to me very, very similar to what it was back when it was Hyperion Solutions, with the exception of back then it was all just Hyperion products.
Yeah.
So it seemed very familiar to me and very comfortable.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's give Minnie a chance to tell her story here. Every other guest that I've brought on, I've asked about their sort of first Kscope experience. What was your first Kscope, Minnie, and what do you remember about it?
Sure. So my first Kscope was in 2014, and I had been implementing SAP products since 2008 at the time. And so I had never attended a conference with that kind of electrifying energy and community building. And so that really stood out to me. I went from, working in a Big Four consultancy to EPMI at that point, a more of a boutique consultancy, and we have been a vendor since 2012 exhibiting at Kscope. And I just thought that, the conference hall was an excellent place because that's where we spend a lot of our time to hang out, not only with, other vendors that play well with each other, which was nice, but also the conference attendees. And I really got the feeling that these are folks that are interested in continuing that connection beyond the conference, hence the Oracle user group meetups that then came out of my attendance at the conference. So that really stuck out to me, that it wasn't just an experience that was contained in that week, is that we really were able to build connections that were localized then, and we could share that experience with folks that could not attend the conference. So all in all, that was, what prompted us to continue to not only exhibit, but me personally continue to attend and present at the conference as well.
Yeah, awesome. And so what do you remember about Kscope20? What's one sort of fun, unique thing about Kscope20 that stands out to you that just sort of like kind of blew your mind when you first experienced it?
So I don't remember what the exact theme was, but at the reception, the Sunday night reception, I remember everybody dressing up, and I didn't think anybody would, and so I went and I put, some sort of costume on. I can't remember what the theme was now, but I thought it was, it's probably just a gimmick or a theme. No one's actually going to do it, and then I was dumbfounded by how many people actually really got into it, and pleasantly surprised. So that really stood out to me, the opening reception.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we try to, find ways that we can do that kind of thing. Obviously participation is voluntary, but I am always pleased at how many people, are up for participating in whatever themes that we announce. And some years they're more elaborate than others, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to see, people geek out like that. It's super cool. So my first Kscope was Kscope11 in Long Beach, California, and it was also my first time speaking at a large major conference. I'd spoken at some smaller conferences, more regional in nature or a smaller focus, but it was my first time speaking at a large conference like that, which was, super exciting to do. And Kscope 11 in Long Beach is always remembered for its special event night on the Queen Mary. We literally hopped on a ship, and different levels of the ship, there were different things to do, and it ended with a big concert on the top deck with a cover band, and then as a call out to the late 80s young MC was hired to come on and do a couple songs, and that was just kind of brought the house down. It was hilarious how all of us were in total throwback mode, but yeah, I mean, it just stood out. You captured it right, Minnie. The energy was just infectious, and it caused me to not only want to come back, but volunteer and get involved, which has kind of led me to where I am now as the conference chair. So over the years, each year I've kind of built up my volunteering a little bit each year, and being a volunteer organization, we definitely need people like all of you to chime in. So so I guess let's kind of open it up in general. I mean, what do you guys think makes Kscope stand out from other conferences? What is it? Why would people want to come to Kscope every year? Given that there's a lot of different options that we all have of conferences that we could attend. What's the sort of thing that you think makes people want to come back year after year and choose Kscope?
For me, I would say it's a unique cross section of information. So there's Oracle representation, there's consultants to talk to, there's other companies using the products, and all of those groups think very differently, and even within the groups, everyone thinks differently. So just having a wide variety of people to talk to and see what types of things they've tried or been successful with, or maybe not so successful with. But I just think it's a unique cross section. I've been to other conferences where it's strictly Oracle, and that is important to get the information from them directly, but it's a little more diverse information that I was able to get at Kscope every year.
Nice. I like that, and that's definitely true. I think we have a wide variety of voices at Kscope, and that really makes it super cool to you can get all kinds of different perspectives, and everybody's very open and free with sharing their thoughts and opinions on things, which is always nice as well. So, Minnie or Gilliam, what do you guys think? What's the one thing that kind of stands out to you that's different and brings a person back year after year?
Um, well, for me, it was the database track together with the Apex track. So that's more information than what I can usually get here. And what I really found positive is that usually when you go to conference, there are people from books or blogs or known speakers, and some of them will be there. But here at Kscope, well, lots of them are there. It seems like everyone is going to Kscope, and they're all looking forward to be there.
Awesome. I couldn't have gotten you to say that better better if I had planted those exact words in your mouth.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, we get a lot of great people who come to Kscope and are willing to share their thoughts and perspectives, and that's super cool. And to your point about the database and Apex tracks, I want to kind of point out that this year we have, last year we dipped into the emerging tech track that we launched for the first time, and where we try to have some unique topics that are of interest to people to learn about. We're also introducing a modern app development track this year that, if you're not an Apex developer, but you still code applications by hand, we're going to have some sessions that will appeal to you as well. And of course, we always have the EPM and analytics tracks as well. So always a diverse bit of content to get at Kscope. What do you think, Minnie? What is your what is your sort of one thing that stands out to you that gets people to come back year after year?
Sure. I think it allows you opportunities to engage with others in different environments. So a lot of other conferences can be very marketing or sales oriented. So not only do you get rich content, but you might have opportunities like the volunteering that happens before the conference, or the special event that happens. So, you'll connect with someone while, this year, the volunteer event is Cradles to Crayon, which is a local charity in Boston that helps with kids and supplies. And you could be assembling supplies or planting trees and strike up a meaningful conversation with someone and connect with them on a level beyond just what brought you to the conference. And I think that creates a lasting impression, and continues to build that sense of community. I don't know a lot of conferences that are able to provide so many different platforms to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, and as a nice way to sort of transition into your role, one of the things that you're sort of asked to do is sort of help create that community and help define what it is as the marketing and vendor chair. What can you tell us about what you've been doing in that role and what that role is all about? And then of course, if you want to talk to us about what you've done in the past with WIT and what we can expect at Kscope20, what are your thoughts there?
Sure. So in my current role as the marketing and vendor chair, we've been working a lot with YCC, which is the fantastic organization that helps us put together the conference and really leverage the community and the power of social media to be able to keep everyone engaged throughout the year and really be able to understand what brings not only people coming back, but also trying to encourage new participation, hence Gillian and Carrie and what prompted you guys to come to the conference. So we've been using social media to not only spread the word, but then also partnering with vendors to spread the word. So in the second part of my role, we've been educating vendors about highlights regarding the conference, things that have changed, the hands-on learning opportunities that come with the conference and really just continue to add value. And so that's been great in terms of being able to connect with YCC and other vendors and know what's important to them and keeps them coming back and investing in the conference, and continuing to make it a holistic experience, not only for attendees and the vendors themselves. So it's been a great way, and I have so much respect, Kevin, for everyone on the conference committee and the planning that goes into, and the mindfulness that goes into the planning. So it's been a really eye-opening experience.
Yeah, this has been your first year on the conference committee, and yeah, so just elaborate on that a little bit. What's it been like for you, kind of watching and participating in all the sort of efforts that we go through?
Sure. So I really appreciate how collaborative it is and how everyone really gets an opportunity to contribute rather than a select few making, 80% of the decisions. And I also respect how, you have to keep everybody in mind and there's so many moving pieces. So it's a bit of a juggling act for folks to make sure that everyone is happy and you also continue to maintain the integrity and quality of the conference as you roll out, new initiatives each year and you make changes. And so I really think that it's been, interesting to see how much input everybody really has and how it's an opportunity to make an impact, with your input. So it's not just lip service that, I'm on the conference committee, I get to help. I really feel like I'm assisting in the decision making.
Awesome. So I first met you through attending one of the WIT luncheons at Kscope that you organized and ran for a couple of years. So tell us a little bit about that and what the WIT luncheon is at Kscope and what it's meant to you and how you're going to sort of transition that this year.
Sure. So the Women in Technology Luncheon has been a really special event, and I've had the honor of being able to lead it over the last 3 years. And I think it's so special because we are trying to promote more diversity in the workplace and especially in technology. And so it gives not only women, but men, which is how I met you, an opportunity to understand the kinds of challenges or topics that are being discussed in the workplace and that affect women in technology. And it gives the format of it is a really open forum. So it's roundtable discussions of 10 to 12 people. So it creates a safe environment, but yet engages anyone that would like to, contribute their thoughts and ideas on really themes that are prevalent, not only in our workplace, but also in media and movements that we see going on beyond technology. So things like equality in pay and being able to understand career advancement and balancing work and life and family along with volunteering, right, with organizations like Kscope. So it ends up being a very inspiring and eye-opening experience for everyone that takes part. And so this year I've transitioned it to Neviana, and she's already done a great job by taking the Women in Technology Luncheon and then starting an initiative that has year-round conversations through webinars and featured speakers that can resonate with, not only the folks that attend the luncheon, but beyond the conference as well, as they're, battling certain things, throughout the year or just need some advice. And it just creates a great platform for conversation.
Awesome. And Neviana, if in case people don't know, is on the ODTUG board, and she is a incredibly energetic and highly organized individual. So I look forward to all the things that she's going to do with WIT. And I will also encourage, and what I really loved about the experience, and you alluded to this, is that it's really for everyone. It's really focused on challenges that women face in technology and ways to sort of talk about those and address those. But I loved that the fact that anyone could attend and participate and listen and learn, quite frankly, because I think it's all awesome when we get the chance to see things from other people's perspectives and how they're, having to deal with, things that they face in their day-to-day careers and professions, and help talk through those and gain a better understanding. So I really appreciate how open that was, and you did a fantastic job, which is why I wanted you to be on the conference committee in the first place. And so I thank you for doing that all those years.
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. So, okay, well, we've reached our time here. We've had some great conversation about, some of our first time attendees and Carrie and Gillian and what our first Kscopes were like. And hopefully you can, take advantage of what their stories were like and apply it to your own first time Kscope experience. Hopefully you're a new Kscope attendee at Kscope20. And I look forward to seeing everyone at Kscope20 in Boston. We're getting closer and closer. Our countdown clock is getting smaller and smaller, and it's going to be a great Kscope. I look forward to seeing everyone there. So Carrie and Gillian and Minnie, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your day.
Yeah, cool. That's right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so for Kscope Uncovered, I'm your Kscope20 conference chair, Kevin McGinley. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.